Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Sunday, September 28th, 2025, and the big story this morning is the mass shooting and the fire set at the Grand Blanc Church in Michigan, not too far from Oxford, Michigan, where we had the shooting at the school blamed on Ethan Crumbly and his parents on November 30th, 2021. We're going to show how coordinated these two events are. But before we get to the shooting, I imagine a lot of people aware of this story aren't aware of who died yesterday, and that was the president of the LDS Church, the Latter-day Saints, a.k.a. the Mormons. Again, the church shooting this morning is at an LDS church or a Mormon church. Again, in Grand Blanc, which means great white. And you know those Mormon temples, a lot of them are very vast and they're very white. And the Mormons, they have those very white magical underwear. And one of their beliefs that they're moving away from, because their beliefs move with the times, it's all political, but one of the Mormon beliefs is the closer you are to God, the whiter your skin becomes. And as we know, white nationalist, white Christian nationalist Charlie Kirk was recently killed in Utah, at least so we're told, the state that the Mormons took by force. You notice Netflix put out that really high quality film earlier this year on the Mormons taking Utah by force, and went into the history of how they used to dress up as natives so that their atrocities would be blamed on natives. Again, if you don't know, September 11th, it's an infamous day with the Mormon church where they dressed up as natives and slaughtered a lot of people along a trail. Yeah, you don't get a state in the United States by any way other than force. And that is something to think about with all this talk of civil war. But let's start right here with the death of the president, and then we'll transition into the shooting and the fire. And then we'll talk about a few other things too. You know, I'm sure you saw the Irish-owned Steelers, owned by the Rooney family, won the first NFL game in Ireland. And I told you about how Rudy Johnson died at 45 earlier this week. And today just happened to be 197 days after Tomlin's birthday, and Ireland's 45. And you can see the score, 24-21. Congrats to the winners. But yeah, again, I want you guys to understand that all this stuff's connected. We'll also talk in this stream about Trump deploying the National Guard to my hometown, Portland, exactly 33 weeks after the city's birthday. Back in 2020, he deployed the federal police for the first time on a state to Oregon, which is also the 33rd state. And yesterday, Oregon did upset Penn State, becoming 3-3 versus Penn State all time. Also, congrats to the winners. And if you took Alabama yesterday, congrats to the winners. Again, you guys should really learn this knowledge because it shows you how the whole game is rigged, from college sports to pro sports to your news to your elections to your crypto to your markets. But anyway, let's come back to the topic at hand, and then we'll touch more on the Portland thing and where it factors in with this Mormon death as well. You know, in the Portland area, out by Lake Oswego, for all my Portland people, just off I-205, you know, that very grand Mormon temple's right there with that big, tall, white, that Grand Blanc peak. Yeah, very fancy building, very white, very pointy as well. But anyway, Russell M. Nelson dead at 101. And haven't we been talking about this number a lot with the death of Charlie Kirk and his memorial? Now, if you're new here, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. This is what you Christians should know about, because it's what Revelation 13 alludes to. If you have wisdom, you'll know how to calculate the number. This is what they were referring to. That Revelation 13:18 thing about 666, the number of a man, the number of a beast, that is, or I should say the beast, that is a Greek isopsephy riddle. Isopsephy is the Greek practice of coding numbers into words. In Hebrew, the practice of coding numbers into words is gematria. They're essentially the same thing. Within English, the reason we have an alphabetic order is the same reason there's an alphabetic order with Hebrew and Aramaic and ancient Greek. Every letter is a number. And remember, in the case of the Mormons, they were founded by the Freemason Joseph Smith. Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. Within Kabbalah, there is the practice of coding numbers into words. Again, I learned about this from the Secret Teachings of All Ages, a book published in 1926 by Manly P. Hall. There are 4 ciphers of the English language. Out of the 4, you could argue what's on the screen is the most important, but they're all important. The way you get that value for President Russell M. Nelson is just by taking the alphabetic order and applying numerology to each letter. So P is the 16th letter using the alphabetic order. A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3. When you get to P for president, P is the 16th letter. The numerology of 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. So P becomes 7. R's the 18th letter. 1 plus 8 is 9. E's the 5th letter, and so on, making each letter a single-digit number. President Russell M. Nelson, 101, dead at 101. Now consider he died shortly after the anniversary of Joseph Smith being contacted by the angel Moroni. And I wrote about this in my first book, Letters and Numbers, why this matters. September 21st is the day leaving 101 days left in the year. And remember, church equals 101, assassin equals 101, Orem, Utah equals 101. Of course, I'm referring to Charlie Kirk. And what day was Charlie Kirk's memorial after being killed in Mormon land, aka Utah? It was September 21st. And Kirk means church, Charlie Kirk. Charlie means Freeman, Freemason, Freeman, the Freemason church, the Masons. Not to mention State Farm Stadium, where the memorial is off Route 101. But think about how perfect this is, right? Just days after the leader dies. And what day did he die? The leader of the Mormons? He died on September 27th, a date that we talk about year after year. It is the day in history that the Jesuits were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. And of course, recently, in recent history, back in 2019, the Mormons opened up a temple very close to the Vatican. And you talk to most Mormons to this day, they still don't know about it. I remember when I broke that news back in 2019, when I could still get views, that video got a lot of views. There were a lot of Mormons who saw the video and they said, wow, I didn't even know this happened. That video had a lot of comments. Now I'm in some kind of algorithm suppression where we can't get any views. And yeah, recently I did get the big views on that Charlie Kirk video, but it was deleted and taken down for hate speech. And now look where we are. The views are worse than ever. Back to where, well, I should say back to where they were, which is worse than ever. But anyway, yesterday was the 485th anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. Notice how false prophet equals 485. That's what most people see Joseph Smith as. Notice how human sacrifice is 485. And if you're new here, this cipher is the most important cipher outside of the base ciphers. We've been covering this cipher since the beginning. But I want you to see what happened in my hometown yesterday with Jesuit-educated Trump deploying the National Guard to Portland, Oregon on the same day. Portland, Oregon, like I'd write on an envelope, 485. And we see this stuff year after year, these perfect rituals synced up with the anniversary number of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. Again, they were recognized September 27th, 1540. Obviously, the 485th anniversary here in 2025. Again, September 27th leaves 95 days left in the year. The Jesuits' original mission was to counter Martin Luther and the 95 Theses. So yeah, this was the ritual for the 485th anniversary. And it does turn out that there were some notable things that happened in LDS history on this day. John Taylor, the third president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, received a revelation concerning plural marriage, a key document in Mormon fundamentalism that justified continued polygamy, though the mainline LDS Church denies its authenticity. Another notable event on September 27th was the 1933 death of B.H. Roberts, a prominent intellectual in the Church's history. Don't forget, Joseph Smith and Brigham Young died 33 years apart. Joseph Smith was executed in Illinois, not far from where Charlie Kirk's from. Also, from when the temple opened, January 28th, 2019, the Mormon temple next to the Vatican. Notice from that day to this death, 347 weeks. In Hebrew, sacrifice equals 347. We just talked recently about the Minnesota Catholic school shooting that was perfectly synced with the first American Pope, and that happened 347 days after his birthday. And remember, he's the first Augustinian pope, and the day of that Catholic school shooting was the feast date for the mother of Augustine of Hippo. But yeah, 347, this Hebrew sacrifice number. And here we go again. Again, the Jesuits served the Roman Catholic Church. They're the military order of the Pope. They were suppressed in history for being up to no good. They were creating a bad name for the church, political shenanigans, rumors of murder. So, again, this stuff has centuries of connections of evidence of what's really going on with this order. And don't forget, when this country was founded, the Jesuits were in suppression, and Jefferson and Adams both warned that if they come out of suppression, they could subvert the nation. And of course, we've seen the capital of the United States move to where the Jesuits set up camp. We've seen Inauguration Day move to a special day to them, January 20th, et cetera, et cetera. The last pope, the first Jesuit, the 266th pope in the history of the church, he just happened to speak in D.C. on the 266th day of the year, September 23rd, 2015, now more than a decade ago. For the people out there, you know, the million-dollar question of how they do this is how do they keep a man alive to age 101 to make sure this ritual happens? Again, you got me on that one, but the point is we see this stuff all the time. Has anyone seen President Russell M. Nelson in recent times? Has he been out? I don't know. Has he made any public appearances in the last few years? Are we sure that he's been alive? I know that somebody in our community connected to Chicago let me know the week before it was announced, Ryan Sandberg's death. He said, listen, I got somebody in the medical scene in Chicago, Zach, and they're telling me Ryan Sandberg was dead. He told me that on my birthday, which was July 21st. Exactly a week later, they announced the death of Ryan Sandberg. And remember, by them announcing it the day they did, it was a perfect ritual, and it was perfectly coordinated with Pope Leo, who's from Chicago, who's a big Cubs fan, who went to school in Philadelphia. And remember Ryan Sandberg, he played for the Phillies and the Cubs. Anyway, again, you guys don't forget, we're on a calendar implemented by the Jesuits named after the Pope, and Pope equals 52, like the 52-week calendar. So yeah, this is in the news in the background, right? That the president of the Mormon Church is dead, with the same numbers we just talked about in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, who just happened to have his memorial on the anniversary of the Mormon founder speaking to the angel that led to the magic plates and all that, Mormon folklore, if you will. But anyway, notice his birthday, Russell M. Nelson, September 9th. That's the day in history that, the United States of America was named. And don't forget, the United States of America equals 99, and there's a lot more to that. But from his birthday to his death was 18 days later. The Jesuit order's logo is the letters IHS for Jesus Hominum Salvator, with the Templar cross and the 3 nails for triclavianism and the 32 sun rays. But 18 days later, right? IHS is 18 forwards and backwards. Sun is 9 forwards, 18 in reverse. The Son of God. And this story mostly spread through the Catholic Church that began by worshiping the sun in the sky. And again, Jesus Hominum Salvator, their motto, if you run the alphabetic order forwards, is 274, like the Catholic Church has celebrated Sol Invictus since 274 AD. That's on December 25th. And if you run it in reverse, Jesus Hominum Salvator equals 266, like how the first Jesuit Pope was the 266th. But yeah, IHS 18, Sun 18 and 9. This man born on 9/9 and dead 18 days later on the very special day to the Jesuits. Now, if you measure from Joseph Smith's death anniversary to the founder, you could look at this 2 ways. You could say he either died a span of 93 days from Joseph Smith's death anniversary, or he died 92 days later. With regards to 93, they say the sun is 93 million miles away. That's the span. If you just say 92 days later, Latter-day Saint is 92. This man was a Latter-day Saint. So that means today, Sunday, the day of the shooting on a Sunday, is 93 days after the anniversary of Joseph Smith's death. And that brings us to the big story. The shooting at the temple and the fire set. And right away, they came out and said it was a 40-year-old man from Burton, Michigan. And all the speculation, if you've been watching what's on, there's a guy, I forget what his channel is. He had like 40,000 people, but They were talking about the car that they believe is connected to the shooter and how it has a Iraq war veteran license plate. So they believe the shooter's an Iraq war veteran. And I forget what else I heard them say. There was one other detail, but again, we see this again and again, that the mass shooters are former military. It's at such a high rate. It is ridiculous. And remember, Hollywood has given us movies like The Manchurian Candidate, where they use mind control on military and they turn these people into assassins. And again, these shooters time and time again are so ritualistic. But yeah, just being 40, of course, 40 is a big biblical number. There's so many 40s in the Bible. Just very recurring theme. And again, Grand Blanc, where it happened, means great white, and the Mormon church is highly associated with the color white. This is very close to Oxford, Michigan, which is a big Michigan shooting story that carried on for some time. And remember, what was different about that Oxford story was it carried into the parents, and the parents ended up getting punished for the son who was the school shooter. But yeah, from Joseph Smith's death anniversary to this shooting, 93 days on a Sunday, when they say the sun is 93 million miles away. And don't forget, science back in 2012 said they figured out that Jesus' crucifixion date was April 3rd, 33 AD, which is the 93rd day of the year, where crucifix, God's son in Nazareth equal 93. What else I could have put up there is the word triclavianism equals 93. And if you don't know what that is, that's the way, hold on. This is a hard word to spell when you haven't slept. Triclavianism. Remember these numbers. We'll come back to all of them, but that's the Roman form of capital punishment with the 3 big nails, the 9-inch nails. That's what the band's named after, Trent Reznor's band. But notice how it's also 93. Jesus was crucified with this method, triclavianism, which again factors in with the distance from the earth to the sun on average, 93 million miles, at least so we're told. And you see the 150 million kilometers as well. Notice triclavianism is also 150. With regards to the Jesuits, remember the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati, which equals 150. In order of Illuminati is 201 and 93. Look at heliocentrism, the model that says the sun's at the center of it all, which was agreed to in the 16th century, the century the Jesuits were created. 150, again, the distance, 150 million kilometers on average. Or 201. The Jesuit order is also 201. Order of Illuminati 201. The founder of the Illuminati, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. So, how this all fits together. And I noticed that if you drive from where Joseph Smith was killed, Carthage, to Grand Blanc, it says you take I-80 to I-94. And here we are with this mass shooting on the day, leaving 94 days left in the year. Roman Catholic Church, 94. Another name for the sun, Helios, 94. Thus, the root word of heliocentrism. We're on a Sunday. Planet. And if for people don't know, the classical planets are what the 7 days of the week are named after. So the sun, the moon, they're both considered planets. Sunday, Moon Day, Monday. Tuesday's Mars Day. Wednesday's Mercury Day. Thursday is Jupiter Day. Friday's Venus Day. Saturn's Day is Saturday. Keep the Sabbath, Saturn holy. Only the Old Testament people are doing that because the Catholic Church came along and pushed the Christians to Sunday, just like they began worshiping the sun, and Catholic Church is responsible for our calendar. And a lot of Christians, that's why I say, it doesn't really matter if you're Protestant, you're pretty much performing Catholic ritual, Protestant or not. You're probably taking the offering, drinking the blood of Christ shed for you, eating the body of Christ shed for you. That's Catholic. You're probably worshiping on Sunday. That's Catholic. Again, your Bible says keep the Sabbath day holy. And I know a lot of you guys, because the way the Bible's worded, you're like, oh, you're making the argument that it could be Sunday. No, it's Saturday. And here, just for another 94, don't forget the word terrors 94. And don't forget that they opened the World Trade Centers on the 94th day of the year. And we all know how that ended. They opened April 4th, 73, 5 years to the day of MLK's assassination. again, they like to keep the world in terror. And these stories every day are just spreading more and more fear in the hearts and minds of people. Um, Again, I mean, these mass shooters, they can creep up anywhere, any small little town, any school, any church, any mall, any theater, any public space. Again, this is an agenda being waged by a nefarious order that was warned about when the country was founded. They're scaring you out of your rights and liberties. They're scaring you out of your way in life. Again, every face of Cooties 19 was Jesuit educated. Notice, you guys, in the time where YouTube is now full of all these people who are good at video editing and they have fancy backgrounds, lots of people have just occupied what was once the truth community a decade ago, and all they do is half truth and keep people just stuck on nothing. Look at all the videos getting millions of views right now about Charlie Kirk that have nothing to do with anything. Was he shot from the front? Was he shot from the back? But was that blood? Was that an earpiece? Was that his necklace? Candace Owens, these types, not to mention the mainstream news has taken over YouTube. You got people like Bill Maher. Again, all of these people are keeping you stuck on stupid. People like yours truly, who used to be at the top of the pack a decade ago whenever news broke about anything, like irrelevant. You can't even find us. But just like I was, right on point a decade ago, or even more on point a decade later, that people need this information more than ever. You still got these shills of the world like Brian going, like a lot of people are still trying to figure out what's going on, but it's just so hard. Oh, it's hard to say. No, it's not. It's been clear from day one who this was all synced up with. Again, the Jesuits run the show, you guys. They were warned about at the beginning of the country. Everything that happens every day is on their calendar. We're on their time. All of these events are synced with the Pope. But by the way, you guys, Pope Leo the 14th, and today's 14 days after his birthday. And don't forget, the NFL was all about 14 the day. But yeah, dead 14 like Utah, the Mormon state. 14 days after Pope Leo's birthday, you got this. Pope Leo the 14th, whose birthday is September 14th. Charlie Kirk, born on the 14th of October, The town Grand Blanc is part of Flint, the suburb of Flint, Michigan. We've done a lot on Flint. Don't forget when Obama wet his lips in Flint. He was willing to drink the water by wetting his lips. That was a total ritual. But yeah, notice Flint, 74 like Mormon. Of course, Jesus, cross, Messiah, parable, gospels, all 74, just like killing, like Masonic, like a cult. The list goes on. Holiday, et cetera, et cetera. You find this number around active shooters all the time. Active shooter 74. And this church, it's on the 42nd parallel, like Jesus is 42. It's almost the 43rd parallel, like Jesus Christ is 43, and so is killing, and so is RIP. But it's on the 83rd meridian, just like Detroit. Detroit, Michigan, for the record, you guys, is 83. Murder's 83. The song Murder by Numbers by the Police came out in 83. Again, you got the music world paying tribute to Murder by Numbers. You got Hollywood. Here's the movie poster for Murder by Numbers with Sandra Bullock, where the 3 and the 8 are right in the words Murder by Numbers. Again, Murder 3883, the song. Listen to the song. It's about how killing's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. It's done by the band The Police. The Police are always giving us these stories. Sandra Bullock's the star of Murder by Numbers. The film came out on April 19th. That's the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church as the first superior general. The film came out 38 weeks and a day after Sandra Bullock's birthday. I wonder if the 267 days could end up mattering. Her birthday can be written 26/7. Here we are in the time of the 267th Pope. She turned 61 this year, huh? To think more about that one. But yeah, killing, death, RIP, Gematria, English, Kabbalah, where this whole thing comes from. This whole practice of letters, numbers comes from Kabbalah, what Masonry is based in. Don't forget Orem, Utah's 38. Charles James Kirk's 163, the 38th prime. Yeah, so. The 1 dead and 9 injured, you guys, LDS has the 19 in it. It also has the 46, and we'll get to that because you see how Michigan is also 46. And you see how sacrifice is 46, like Genesis 46, how sacrifice and religion's 46. It's 199 weeks from the Oxford, Michigan shooting, which is the 46 prime, By the way, this church is on McClandish Road for another 83. They said the shooter's from Burton. They haven't put out his name yet, but he's a 40-year-old from Burton. Burton's got that 72 like Jesuit order. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Sorry, I can hear my sweet lady lecturing my sweet girl in the background. I'm sure she's taking it all in at 10 months. She's getting the no means no lecture. Anyway. Yeah, it's 199 weeks from the Oxford shooting, you guys. 46 prime. I forgot to put the LDS up here, but you just saw it. LDS, Latter-day Saints. LDS, also 19. Again, like we were saying, 1 dead, 9 injured. And I did mention how the president died 18 days after his birthday. If you wanted to count the span, you could say he died on his 19th day of his age. Today's 19 days after his birthday. But yeah, this 46 thing, just big sacrifice pattern. When the Oxford, Michigan shooting happened, there were so many 82s in it, as we talked about. And it was synced up with Michigan that year. You know, now that I think about it, Michigan ended up beating remember, Seattle's the 206 area code. If you watched Thursday Night Football, Seattle was up 20-6 on the Cardinals, like the 206 area code. And they love their 206. It's like when Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl, he had 206 passing yards. But Seattle's 82. Michigan was in their 206th season, or Michigan University was 206 years old when they beat Seattle, the 206 area code. This school shooting ended up factoring into Michigan's winning success after that point and eventually winning the national championship. But yeah, anyway, there were so many 82 rituals with the Oxford shooting. Today's date numerology paths are 82 and 46. Again, you get the 82 by adding 9 plus 28, September 28th, plus 20 plus 25, which is 82. The life lesson number path is where you add the day plus the month whole and then the year digit by digit. So it's 9 plus 28 and then plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, which is 46. Again, it's 199 weeks later, the 46th prime number. It's also 5 days as well, but 199 weeks and days. And yeah, it's just, if you go back, I have the old post where the Oxford school shooting happened the same day that Merck's Cooties 19 pill was approved. And if you go back and look at that pill, it had a big 82 on it. So the top stories that day, the day of the Oxford shooting, were, Cooties, which has the 82 connection. And don't forget, the first confirmed case in the world outside of China was in Seattle. Across the street from the world's biggest needle, which is across the street from the Bill Gates Foundation. But yeah, it was Oxford and it was Cooties that day. And again, it's news by the numbers all day, every day. But here we are again, and it's the same damn numbers. And again, these shootings are right next door to each other. So, and if you were listening to the news, they're even bringing it up that this isn't far from the Oxford shooting. So, again, just about the ritualism and, again, these authoritarian types like our government and the police having the Masonic roots when, again, Masonry is based in Kabbalah. And that's where this whole letters and numbers thing comes from. So, yeah, if we had a more intelligent society, this would be the biggest discussion piece on the web at all times, every day. And again, we'll continue to take advantage. How many times I got to teach about Steelers in 31? The Steelers improved to 3-1, owned by the Jesuit Rooney family. And right after Rudy Johnson died at 45, you get 45 points in Ireland. And remember, we just talked about this days ago. It was 197 days after Tomlin's birthday, the 45th prime. You got to love that the Jesuit-run team. Look at the birthday of Tomlin, right? The Ides of March, the 74th day of the year, can be written 15/3, born in 72. Jesuit order 153.72. I mean, could it be any more perfect? But yeah, 45 points, and we just saw this. Rudy Johnson, dead at 45. When you think Rudy, you think of the Fighting Irish, big 90s movie made about it. Rudy. Rudy wore 45. Yeah. Next thing you know, The game's over. 24-21, 45 points. Business as usual in the National Fixed League, which, again, American football, all the major sports are credited to Masons. Football, it's Walter Camp. Baseball, it's Abner Doubleday. Basketball, it's Joe Naismith. Or James Naismith, my bad. They're all Masons. They're all Masons. And yeah, just The Apprentice, the first degree of Freemasonry. Donald Trump with a gazillion Masonic rituals up to date. Fresh off the 33-hour manhunt for Charlie Kirk that was all connected to Trump. Now my hometown, Portland. Trump deploys the National Guard 33 weeks after the city's birthday. Oregon's the 33rd state. Again, Oregon improved to 3-3 versus Penn State. Score at halftime was 3-3 yesterday. Good little sign there. But yeah, police, masonry, federal secrecy order, all 33. That's why it drives me nuts. It's like, you got millions of people in the world worshiping this overgrown Oompa Loompa. I've been here every day since even before he announced, showing all this stuff and showing how all of these leaders on the world stage are puppets, part of this cabal, the same cabal that created this nation, just performing rituals day after day, performing rituals that divide the people. People are falling for the traps, getting caught up in the division. And it just looks like this every single day. Every single day. And it's not just that, too. It's that Jesuit Masonic alliance, like I've explained a gazillion times. Oh, by the way, yesterday was 105 days after Trump's birthday. Masonry's 105 and 33. But yeah, it was the 485th birthday. Or not birthday, but the Jesuit Order's birthday is August 15th. Like Trump's brother died on August 15th, and Afghanistan's government collapsed on August 15th, and the gold standard ended that day. And it's the date that World War II essentially ended, and blah, blah, blah. It's a huge date in history, August 15th. But September 27th is the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. And yeah, yesterday was the 485th anniversary. We talked about how it factored in with the Mormon leader's death, but it also factors in perfectly with Portland, Oregon, having the National Guard deployed. And again, make America great again. Police surveillance state. You better have your papers on you. We're bringing religion back. We're making it more and more about religion. And remember what Trump's religion is. He runs on the highest degree of the Church of Satan, mega. And Obama did tell us on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, April 30th, 2011, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with Trump there attending, that Trump would become number 45 on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. And Obama also did the joke that day about being from Africa, saying he was Simba from The Lion King. Again, you can look up the White House Correspondents' Dinner from April 30th, 2011 if you've never seen these jokes. Simba equals 44 like hope, like Trump, or not Trump, but Obama ran on hope. And by the way, just another thing fed to me through the community, the Snake Eyes movie, with all the predictive programming for Charlie Kirk, the casino that it's shot in, once owned by Trump, filed for bankruptcy on the date September 10th, 2014. So 11 years to the day of the shooting at Charlie Church, the casino where the shooting happens in Snake Eyes, filed for Chapter 11. Come on, man. Come on. We are living out some serious scripts. Something else to think about with Nicolas Cage, who's in Snake Eyes, who's, again, the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. And remember, I was telling you all about all the Ford stuff, from Lincoln to Nixon's resignation, and the next thing you knew, Gerald Ford's assassin is dead by the code. Gerald Ford's would-be assassin, I should say. But, yeah, Nicolas Cage, he is in that Disney film, National Treasure, about the Masons. So, and that Snake Eyes has a Storm Jezebel. Again, the Jezebel story about paying the Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk on the Virgin Mary's birthday. It's just all of this stuff that's playing out in the news is just from something that was literally a script written decades ago. And don't forget that show from the 60s out of the UK, Newsbenders. There's an episode about a guy being hired to write the news, a decade in advance. And he's like, what? You're hiring me to write the news for a decade in advance? One guy's like, "Oh, yeah, don't you know we've been doing this for a long time?" And here we are in 2025, and people are like, "What? They're scripting the news?" Yeah. I mean, I wrote my book about this is almost a decade old now. Letters and Numbers came out in 2017. So, yeah. And again, instead of people listening to who knows the people, instead of people listening to know those who know what they're talking about, instead they're watching who's got the fanciest video editing and intros and most lights in the background, and it's just like flies, right? A fly doesn't care about information; it just flies to the light and then gets smashed by the tail lights moving down the highway 60 miles per hour. And yes, I am saying that the average person's not much smarter than a fly that's now on your windshield. And everybody should know that at this point because you've been watching this populace fall for all the bullshit day in and day out. Everything's a coincidence. So what if the Mormon president died last night? What's that got to do with the shooting today? Are you a conspiracy theorist? This Valhalla guy, where'd his channel come from? He's getting a gazillion views over the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Valhalla, after the weirdo FBI agent shouts out Valhalla. Frauds like Brian are shouting out his channel saying that now that's a real truther. You can just tell Brian's COINTELPRO. But it's like, oh yeah, Valhalla, the guy who in every video has to say, no, I wouldn't say conspiracy though. Just like in the movie Snake Eyes, there's the dialogue about don't use conspiracy because then they'll think you're a psycho or a lunatic. Yeah, that's how the program sheep are. They hear certain buzzwords and they automatically just switch goes and their thoughts all go in this stereotypical way. Oh, I see. I look at this. These people on YouTube, see, like this lady's such a plant. This lady right here, look at this. That Fox News has her up here. Have you ever seen this lady in the blue dress? She goes out there, she's Uncle T-ing it for Trump, and they're like, "Oh, look, she got attacked on the street." Listen, this whole thing about you guys, there's no place for violence. Where does that idea come from? Does that idea come from America? Is that an American idea that there's no place for violence? Because I'm pretty sure this nation was founded out of a whole lot of violence. Getting free from a tyrannical order. So this whole idea of there's no place for violence, I think this is what should happen to all these internet troll right-wing grifters out on the street, to be perfectly honest. And understand, I'm not for the left either, but there are a lot of right-wing grifting trolls out on the streets just saying all kinds of stupid shit, including that lady right there getting smacked. And I'm sure whatever she said was stupid as hell. So when I look at that, I say, man, talk about long time coming. But yeah, these people are plants too. I forget what this lady's name is, but you guys have probably seen her YouTube channel. Total troll. Pro-life influencer. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, again, you guys, what people think being an American is being completely anti-American. You guys think it's loving your political party, and that was never what America is supposed to be. You think violence is some horrible thing. Again, there's a time and a place for everything. This country wouldn't exist without violence. You listen to most of these right wingers. They're saying things like, "What do you mean this country's not about church and state? It says on our money, in God we trust." Is that how the country started? Was that on the money? Did we have that money when the country started? Was there a Federal Reserve? No. This has all been incrementally done over time, bringing us to where we are now are, Stupidville, where you got all these yo-hos or what I can't even think of the damn word right now because I haven't slept, but saying things like, you know, this is a Judeo-Christian value country. Is it? I'm pretty sure this country was really about escaping the tyranny of religion. It gave you the right to be religious, but you get Judeo-Christian values. I think a lot of people understand like "thou shall not kill." It might be in the Bible, but I'm pretty sure that concept. Again, you shouldn't kill for no reason. Self-defense is a different story, but anyway, yeah, I got to make those points too. So, why are people in my chat writing "debate Logan"? Logan is the one who doesn't want to debate. Remember when I went on his stream, he asked before. He said, "Now, please don't debate any of my ideas. I want to have a nice conversation where I can put out all the stupid things I believe." Hold on, I'll be there in a minute. Thank you. Thank you, Charmaine Lilly, for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. Uh, yeah, I mean, debating Logan, I mean, that's like, debating a 5-year-old. Are you kidding me? You guys got the worst ideas. What's he gonna say? Is he gonna start the debate by going, "Hey, again, what's Logan's tagline, you guys?" Literally, he says it in every video. First, he tells you that there's nothing, being orchestrated. This is just the way the world unfolds organically. That's what he tells you, which is a load of shit. But then his other tagline is, "I remember when you look into the mirror and you see your beady little eye, just remember to be the best devil you can be." It's like, "What?" Okay, so all this misleading information, uh he'll ask you to pay him $1,000 so he can tell you which of the 52 cards you are. If you wanna send him 1,000 bucks, he'll let you know if you're a 10 of hearts or a 8 of spades. Maybe if you're lucky, you're a king of clubs. Just send him $1,000. He'll let you know what playing card you are, and, yeah, be the best little devil you can be. No, there's you guys, and it's just like I saw that Donut had on a panel of people talking about gematria and the Jesuits, and I didn't recognize any of these people except for one. And like, so you have that now there's like a network of people emulating my work, copying my work. They're all selling their Patreon for sports picks. Who are these people? Not a single mention of yours truly where they all learned from. No, there's a lot of people trying to grift off of what I brought to the internet, and I wouldn't mind if they were teaching this work and doing a good job with it and opening eyes, but I see what it really is. It's trying to copy yours truly. It's just like, rappers would always say back in the day, like, people biting my style. You just see there's a lot of people trying to do exactly what Zachary K. Hubbard brought to the internet, but they don't want to give any credit. They're hoping they're going to find that new audience who doesn't know who yours truly is, and they're going, "Wow, where do these people learn all this?" But yeah, I also really don't like that. I don't like people ripping me off word for word and then acting like it's theirs. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So yeah, just a lot of people trying to copy yours truly. I don't know where all these people came from though. And that donut, he's one of them. Who's been in the radio, goes on Alex Stein, another plant. Eric Adams. Hold on, let me see what this Eric Adams news is real quick. Eric Adams, a Mason. He had the Masonic ritual not that long ago. September 1st. So today's 27 days after his birthday. Big race number, big ritual number. Race 27, ritual 27. There's probably more to it. I'll look more into why Eric Adams has dropped out on this specific day. Hold on. Upcoming New York mayoral election. November 4th. So that's going to be in 37 days, huh? For a span of 38. Let me see. 2, 33, 37. Yeah, 37 or a span of 38. I know election's 38. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it there for now, you guys. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to the new member. Appreciate you supporting the work. And shout out to Gutex, who sent $5 on the Cash App. I appreciate that as well. All right, guys, we'll leave it there for now. Appreciate everyone who hits the like and the share, and those who take the time to leave a comment after the video posts. Have a good rest of your day, and until next time.